customer has to be there. Next, the bank server has to be there. That is the second element. First element is the customer, and the second element is the bank server. And third element, we can include the security person. And if we want to include one more element, we can include according to the our requirement. If we want to make the design to be more specific, if you want to make the design to be more specific, then the size of the diagram will be increased. If you want to reduce or if you want to restrict the details of the design, then we precise the size of the design. Okay, have you got my point? I'll repeat the point once again. If you want to be more specific in order to represent a particular design, then automatically the size of the model or the size of the design increases. If you want to represent the diagram in a compact manner, then most of the things will be hidden. So initially trace the elements. Roll number N5, do you want to say something? You have unmuted. Initially trace the elements which are to be modeled. That means once again I'm saying that we need to identify all the elements which we want to include in the design, such that we are left out with few modules which possess close resemblances to each other. So after identifying all the possibilities of the elements which we have to include in the design, then what we will be left out? Then obviously we will be left out with not few modules, with modules. I remove this word few, with modules which possess close resemblances to each other. Okay. Of course, the customer has to be associated with the bank server. Customer has to be associated with the security guard with respect to the ATM withdrawal in the use case diagram, like that. Next, collect these modules and frame a package. Now, what is the meaning of this particular point is, for example, if you consider a design or a model, that entire design, that means railway reservation system. Consider railway reservation system. We can divide that entire railway reservation system from use case diagrams. That means for a customer, we can represent a separate use case diagram. For a booking clerk, we can represent a separate use case diagram. Now, for a database system, we can represent a separate use case diagram, like that. Collect these modules and frame a package. So I said 3 individual packages. That means 3 individual diagrams. So all these 3 individual diagrams can be combined together to form a class diagram. That's why class diagram is considered to be as a static diagram, because each and every concept of the model, we represent that each and every point in the class diagram only. There is no chance of removing or missing any concept inside the class diagram, but there may be a chance of removing or missing the concepts in use case diagram, because use case diagrams are considered to be as dynamic diagrams and class diagrams are considered to be as static diagrams. Next, apply accessibility specifier to each of these modules accordingly. Accessibility specifier, in turn, it is considered to be as the visibility marker. The meaning of accessibility specifier is considered to be as the visibility marker. How many visibility markers are there? How many visibility markers are there? Can anyone respond in the chat box? My question is, how many visibility markers are there? Did anyone know the answer? Or don't know? I'm saying that accessibility specifier and as well as the visibility marker both are considered as the same. Public, exactly. If you know public, obviously, I think you should be aware of private, protected, and packaged. Exactly. So apply accessibility specifier to each of these modules accordingly. That means which attributes and which operations has to be accessed by other elements, and which are to be specific, which are to be more specific only to that particular component, we need to represent by using these accessibility specifiers. And next point is form the other packages and apply relationships between these packages using the concept of import. Form the other packages, apply relationships between these packages using the concepts of import. Import and export concept we have discussed in the last topic. Okay. Import and export concepts we have discussed in our last class. That means importing is nothing but acquiring the attributes or operations of one particular package into another package is called as importing concept. Exporting is nothing but that means handing over the attributes and as well as the operations from first package or the second package to the previous package is considered to be as the export concept. Next, complete the task by applying generalization to if there is abode of packages. Abode of packages is nothing but if there is any same group of packages, or if you consider any parent-child relationship exists, or if you consider any inheritance type of relation exists, then what we have to do, we have to use the generalization relationship among the packages as we have used in the classes. Okay. If you see here, there are three packages that there: user services, business services, and as well as the data services. Here, a transitional dependency exists in between user services and as well as the data services. I'll repeat again. Here, a transitional dependency exists in between user services and as well as data services. I think you know, when x tends to y and y tends to z, obviously you can derive x tends to z, a to b, b to c, then what you can conclude, a to c. In the same way, user services is importing business services. In turn, business services are importing the data services. Obviously, what we can conclude, user services can include the data services, like that. Next, modeling architectural views. Any architecture, that means any design, any model can be classified into 5 views. Any architecture or any design or any model is classified into 5 views. The first one is use case view. The first one is use case view. Use case view is nothing but identifying the actors and their corresponding use cases, which are nothing but they are considered as the actions which are performed by the respective actors. Okay. Next, design view. After gathering the requirements, then what is the next view? Design view. That means after gathering the requirements, the client or the customer, the client or the developer will have one type of view, which is considered as the design view, the use case view. After completion of the use case view, what is the next one? The procedure will be transformed into design view. That means writing the blueprint of the system, writing the blueprint of the system or the blueprint of the model or a blueprint of the design. Then after the completion of the blueprint of the model, the developers or the clients will have the another type of view, which is considered as a design view. After completion of the design view, the actual process starts, which is considered as the process view. Next, after process view, the next one is implementation view, that is testing or blah, blah, blah kind of thing. Next, deployment view. Deployment view is nothing but installing the product to the system, like that. So one more thing, what I can is for each and every individual view, there will be some diagrams which are associated to each and every individual view. For example, use case view can be associated with only use case diagrams, whereas a design view and as well as process view can be considered to be as the combination of use case diagrams and as well as the class diagram, like that. Each and individual view is composed of various diagram. If you consider the deployment view can be collaborated or can be combined or can be integrated to the deployment diagram, like that. This kind of architectural views that are significant in the context of the problem are identified. So we need to identify. Sir, actually we have only 4 in modeling architecture views, but why we include use case views? Sir, actually I read about this in a blog. Okay, according to the what I can say is dev perspective, as the author perspective, the views will be changed. That means you may have seen that one view is embedded in another view. That means the use case view and the design view can be combined together. In my perspective, the use case view and as well as the design view can be combined together like that. If I combine together, automatically one view will be reduced from the design, right? Like that. The set of architectural views that are significant in the context of the problem are identified. If we are designing any model or any design, what we have to do initially, we have to identify what are the various architectural views. We need to identify all the architectural views which involves in the development process, and we need to mention those architectural views on the paper or in the system like that. Next, the elements and diagrams that are necessary to visualize, specify, construct, and document the semantics of each view are placed into appropriate package. This point just now previously I have explained. That means use case view can be combined with use case diagram, or use case diagram can be combined with use case view. In the same way, use case diagram and as well as the class diagrams can be combined with design view and as well as the process view. That's what this second point says about the elements and diagrams that are necessary to visualize, specify, construct, and document the semantics of each view are placed into appropriate package. We need to identify the appropriate diagrams for appropriate architectural use. Next, class and object diagrams. This is the next topic in your third unit. So class diagram is a representation of the static view that shows a collection of static model elements. As I said previously, class diagram is considered as the static diagram, which we can't change the diagram after representing the model or the design once. Next, the static model elements, examples of static model elements are classes, contents, and their relationships. Not only representing the each and every individual class, what we have to include the content of the class. That means we have to include the attributes of the class, operations of the class, and as well as the responsibilities of the class if needed. After representing all the classes individually, what we have to do, we have to collaborate or integrate or to combine each and every individual class by using the appropriate relationship only. We need to be more specific what type of relationship we have to use in order to combine one tool or one element to another element. If we replace association with dependency, obviously the context of the model will change. Or if we replace the association with the generalization or aggregation, the entire diagram context will be changed. So that's why we need to be more appropriate, or we need to be more specific in identifying the relations which we use in order to connect one element to another element. Next, here a large class diagram is there. Here, how many classes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 classes are there. So each and every class is connected to another class by using generalization is there, composition is there, dependency is there. Okay. Actually, I want anyone to explain this diagram for me, but it is waste of time if I ask the question like, or if I ask you people to anyone unmute yourself and please explain this diagram. So I only continue with the explanation process. So here in between company and department, and as well as the company and office, a relationship has been represented, which is called to be as a composition. There are two types of relationships exist. The first one is aggregation and second one is composition, which are considered to be as the similar kinds of relationships. Composition is defined as a special kind of aggregation. I'll repeat again. Composition is considered to be as it is considered to be as the special kind of aggregation. I think you know how a composition is an aggregation is represented, and as well as the composition is represented. An aggregation is represented with a straight line which is ended by or which ends with a open rhombus or open diamond. Whereas composition is this one, this particular thing which you are seeing, a straight line which ends with a closed or shaded rhombus or shaded diamond. Now, what is the difference between a composition and as well as the aggregation? This is considered as a composition and this is considered as an aggregation. This is considered as an aggregation. So, aggregation is nothing but it emphasizes or it identifies the relation between the whole part and as well as the subpart. Aggregation identifies a relationship which identifies a whole part and as well as the subpart. Consider this as the first thing or first element. Consider this as the second element. Now, where I have to place the whole part and where I have to place the subpart? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me where I have to place the subpart? That means in the position 1 or in position 2, where I have to place the whole part? Yes, I'm waiting for your response. I need to keep the whole part. Is it in first position or second position? And where I have to part? It is again, is it in the first position or in the second position? I'm waiting for your response. Where I have to place the whole part and where I have to place the subpart. Which topic you want? Question. Question is, my question is, here I'm placing an aggregation between first element and as well as the second element. An aggregation says that it emphasizes or it identifies the relation between the whole part and subpart. So where I have to place the whole part and where I have to place the subpart? In position 1 or position 2? Am I clear? Is my question clear for you? First part. Which one? Whole part or subpart? In first position, which one we have to place? The whole part or the subpart? whole part has to be placed in the first position and sub part has to be placed in the second position. For example, if you consider college and department, I have to place college in position 1. That means college is considered as the whole part, and department is the sub part which I have to place in the second position, like that. So now let me explain, or let me say what is composition means. I said that composition is a special kind of aggregation which in turn specifies the relation between whole part and subpart only. But the only difference between aggregation and composition is composition emphasizes on the strong ownership of the whole part and subpart, where aggregation won't emphasizes on the ownership. That means, for example, here I'm saying that I'm using aggregation in college and department. This is aggregation in between college and department. What is the meaning of this is, a college may contain or may not contain, or a college can contain or cannot contain a department. But if I shade this rhombus or diamond, then this relationship is converted to a composition. Then a strong ownership exists between the college and as well as the department. Must and should, the college should contain a department. That is the difference between aggregation and composition. So a composition relationship is represented or rendered in between company and as well as the department. That means company is the whole part and department is the sub part. That means the company must and should contain the department. In the same way, company must and should contain an office, like that. And one more thing, a multiplicity representation is given here. For company, number 1, digit 1 is given. And for department, above department, 1 to star stands for many. Similarly, above office, 1 to star has been represented. The meaning of this thing is, a single company, that means since 1 is there, so I'm naming it as a single company. A single company can contain many departments, 1 to many. A single company can contain a 1 department or a single department or many departments. In the same way, a single company can contain 1 office or 1 branch or many offices. Company may exist many departments and offices. Yeah, exactly. Company contains many departments and many offices. Here, the example for the company and office is nothing but, if you consider State Bank of India, SBI, as the company, and the branches are considered to be as the offices. Many number of branches exist for under SBI, right? That's why a company contains many offices, and in a single office, many departments can exist. For example, if you consider one branch, any Kukatpalli branch or KPHB branch or whatever it may be, in SBI, State Bank of India, accounts, 1 department will be there. For loans, one department will be there, and for maintaining the customer details, another department will be there. Like that, an office can contain many departments, like that. So here, once again, department will be in a specific location under an office. That's why the location has been represented. This is considered as the name of the association. It is located at some position in the office, and department is contained in office. This is called as navigation. This shaded triangle is called as navigation, which is called as direction. And one self loop exists for department. If you see there, one self loop exists. For example, in our college only, if you consider CSC department, In CSE department, there are 4 sub departments are there. The first one is AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning. The second one is DS, that is data science. The next one is IoT, Internet of Things. And fourth one is CS, that is cyber security. So these 4 are considered as the sub departments in the main department, which is called as computer science and engineering. And in between department and person, there is association has been represented. A department may contain many people as employees. A department may contain many people as employees, and among those many people, one employee or one person acts as a manager. That's why here manager, the name manager has been represented. So this is considered to be as the constraint. That is the rule. Each and every department will contain many people, and among those, one person or one individual acts as a manager, and I'm naming that as a constraint. And the subset of the department, that is a part of the department. Next, headquarters can be generalized as office. Headquarters is can be generalized as office, and 2 separate classes like contact with the person is a relation, dependency relationship. So here person is considered to be as the dependent entity, and as well as the contact info and the personal data are considered as entity will change according to the changes which we made in independent entity. That means if we change any contact info and if we change any personal record, obviously it affects the details of the person or the data of the person, like that. So this is the one example for a class diagram. Next, difference between aggregation and composition. Just now I explained this thing. Once again, say this. The first representation is college and department. A college may contain a department. That is, if we place aggregation, I can say like that. A college may or may not contain a department. The second example is composition. Composition represents or emphasizes or it reflects the strong ownership. If a window has to be there, first of all, a frame should contain. A frame should be made in order to represent the size of the window or the shape of the window, like that. Next, common properties of class diagrams. So class diagram consists of the following. They are classes, interfaces, collaborations, and as well as the relationships. You all know about this. Class is nothing but it is the collection of objects of similar type. So under each and individual class, we can combine or we can include these attributes and similar type of operations under one class, like that. Next, interfaces. Interface is nothing but which specifies the service of a class. That means we can specify only the operations and as well as the relationships of the responsibilities of the class. Next, collaboration. Collaboration is nothing but it specifies a unit where different elements work together to provide cooperative behavior. If you want to mention any cooperative behavior between one element to another element, or if you want to group all the elements which participates in cooperative behavior, then what I have to do, I have to place all those elements or all those tools in one single entity, which is called as collaboration, which is represented in the form of a dotted ellipse. For example, if you consider administration, college administration, I have to represent that college administration in the form of a dotted ellipse, because if a college has to be run smoothly, many people have to involve in the administration process, from the chairman to the attendant, like that. Then only the college will run in a smooth manner. Next, relationship. In order to connect one element to another element, obviously we have to go for relationships. Okay, I'm stopping here. 97, page number 97. Okay, thank you for attending the class, and we'll meet in the next class.